Welcome to the Trap Tree series, where we cover some of the biggest cannabis smugglers and weirdest stories involving the ever-disappearing illegal cannabis market. Hit the like button, subscribe, share, and comment down below. The Brotherhood of Eternal Love was a hippie cult that existed in the 60s. It was started as a pseudo-religious commune consisting of lovers of LSD, would slowly morph into the largest group of the most wanted drug smugglers in California at the time. The Brotherhood of Eternal Love had a vision for their utopia as inspired by Aldous Huxley's novel, Island. Huxley himself was at the forefront advocate for the use of psychedelics, especially psilocybin, the active ingredient found in magic mushrooms. Huxley was also a philosopher of psychedelics and founding member of a Harvard project where Timothy Leary and Richard Alpert carried out an experiment at Marsh Chapel, Boston in April 1962. From the experiment, they found that the use of psilocybin affected the religious experience of 90% of graduate students in the study. Island was the utopian reverse of Huxley's dystopian Brave New World set on a fictional island named Pala. The island was named after a town in Southern California near Mount Palomar by the same name. There, Edwin Hubble, Huxley's friend, and the Brotherhood would relax and watch skis after taking acid. The people of Pala consumed psychedelic mushrooms routinely and created a society marked by pacifism, cerebralism, and sexual experimentation. The community was also highly spiritual and yet not clerical. These were ideals that Huxley himself embraced and reflected in his novel. Island celebrated living in the moment, with psychedelics being the main source of enlightenment and compassion rather than pacification. The year before Huxley published Island, his Los Angeles home got gutted by a fire. He was also diagnosed with laryngeal cancer at the same time, which was a key theme he would explore in his novel. In his final hours, Huxley asked his wife to inject him with a huge dose of LSD, and he passed away. His wife reported as describing the scene as the most serene, most beautiful death. This experience that Huxley had with LSD would become an exemplar for how who would form the Brotherhood interacted with the drug. A good number of the members already had run-ins with the law, and John Griggs, their founder, was said to have even robbed a Hollywood producer of his LSD stash at gunpoint after getting high on heroin. But after taking LSD, Griggs apologized for the theft, renounced violence, and sent the goods back to its owner. According to an account, after Griggs ingested the drug, he threw away his gun and ran around shouting, quote, "This is it." It was the spiritual awakening that eventually led him to found the pseudo-religious group that would become known as the Brotherhood of Eternal Love, a group that spearheaded the counterculture movement of the late 60s while simultaneously functioning as one of the largest drug smuggling organizations of that era. When the Brotherhood first came together, they had intended to ostracize themselves from society and begin a new life on Island Paradise, which they felt represented freedom. Most of the members wanted to settle in Hawaii. Someone traveled to the Pacific island of Micronesia to scout the place to see if it would be fitting, and yet another even tried convincing the king of Tonga to give the Brotherhood a home. The Brotherhood were convinced that they could only thrive in isolation, which led to their experimentation with communal self-sufficiency. The group settled at Orange County, Modesto Canyon, where they learned to grow their own food, make their own clothing, build their own homes, and even deliver babies. Rather than excommunicating themselves from society, like they initially planned to, the group decided to create their own world within society. They would be forced to move later, though, after their original settlement got razed down in a fire incident. The Brotherhood was a very religious group and would refer to themselves as disciples. They believed in the power of LSD to heal and reveal, and even regarded the drug as a sacrament, a window through they could see God himself. In the group's opinion, they were doing God's work, and stated their reason for registering as a church as wanting to get religious exemption from prohibition. This was a strategy that Timothy Leary had earlier adopted for his own league of spiritual discovery. Soon, the Brotherhood began distributing their own brand of LSD, which they called Orange Sunshine. This they often did for free, funded by the proceeds from their drug smuggling activities. The group smuggled Afghan hashish into the US from sources in Kabul and Kandahar through Frankfurt, Istanbul, Karachi, and London. Their operation was bold and scaled to a global level, as they would often stash the drugs and musical instruments loaded onto a VW camper van. They also smuggled in the drugs through hollowed out surfboards. The waves were a big part of the Brotherhood's spiritual experience. They would refer to their communion with the waves as Christ in the curl. The Brotherhood had numerous and diverse religious influences. There was I Ching as well as Leary's psychedelic prayers. But the group also tended to favor Eastern concepts, which were practiced by the Islanders in Huxley's novel as well. The group would go on to open a psychedelic emporium, which they called Mystic Arts World, in Laguna Beach. In keeping with the Book of Tao's stipulations, all the corners of the emporium were rounded. Leary would launch his bid for the governorship seat of California against Ronald Reagan in 1969 in front of his building. Yeah, John Leary ran against Ronald Reagan in 1969. And funny enough, you know the famous Beatles song, "Come Together Right Now"? Yeah, that was for Leary's campaign. But, unfortunately, Leary lost. But, after this, a fraction of the Brotherhood began to seek privacy, so they moved further inland till they got to a ranch close to Idle. There, led by Leary, they started to only do couples-only communion, and Leary declared that he and Griggs were sent from God to lead a new breed of humans. But Griggs lost his life at age 25 after overdosing on psilocybin crystals. Rather than let an unfortunate experience weigh them down and giving up, the Brotherhood decided instead to redouble their commitment in response. They expanded operations in order to produce 10 kilograms of LSD, which translate to roughly 100 million doses of the drug. The plan was to mass produce the drug, so they could beat down the prices so low it was practically free to get Orange Sunshine, the group's own LSD. According to Michael Randall, a founding member of the Brotherhood, the group had a deep spiritual commitment to what they were doing. By using multiple identities, the Brotherhood managed to evade getting detected by the police and other local authorities. However, the group nicknamed the hippie mafia by the police remained widely influential both socially and politically. Officer Neil Purcell was a police officer who had tried repeatedly but failed to bust the Brotherhood. Since they moved to Laguna Beach, Purcell was so well known among the Brotherhood that the members set up what they called a Purcell Watch. This watch was a comprehensive system consisting of whistles and alarms so that once Purcell was around, everyone would be alerted. Timothy Leary obviously was an easy target for Purcell thanks to his popularity. On the 26th of December in 1968, Purcell saw a station wagon parked with people arguing inside. He approached the vehicle, and that's when he discovered that the driver of the bus was Leary himself. After searching the vehicle, Purcell reports that he found 2 kilos of hashish and marijuana scattered all around the vehicle. But according to Leary's side of the story, it was Purcell who planted 2 joints on him. In the end, Purcell got Leary arrested, and the latter was later convicted of possessing marijuana on the 21st of January 1970. This earned him a 10-year sentence in addition to another 10 years for a prior arrest he faced in 1965. After Leary got arrested, the Brotherhood helped him escape from his California jail. Afterward, the group paid radical leftist group Weather Underground $25,000 through the Black Panthers to help smuggle Leary to Algeria, and from there to Afghanistan. With Leary and Griggs now gone, the devastated Brotherhood needed new leadership, and the mantle fell to John Gale, one of the founding members of the Brotherhood. But Gale was different from the other founding members. He didn't really believe in the psychedelic spirituality. He was more of a surfer and seemed to have a taste for the excitement that came with the group's dangerous escapades. During the Christmas of 1970, the group led by Gale hosted a 3-day righteous celebration, which they referred to as, quote, happening in Laguna Beach. This quote happening was supposedly a birthday party for Jesus Christ, and it began on Christmas Day and lasted for 3 days. During the celebration, the Brotherhood distributed about 25,000 tabs of LSD, which they airdropped from a plane onto revelers as a way to ignite a communal spiritual revolution. The notoriety of the group also inspired a really strange movie produced in 1972 titled Rainbow Bridge. The movie featured the final recorded US performance of Jimi Hendrix, which Hendrix performed exclusively for the Brotherhood in Hawaii, on top of a volcano in Maui. In the movie, we watch a glamorized version of the Brotherhood's activities, including the creation of Maui Wowie, which was a strain of cannabis. To the disappointment of some members, this movie also exposed their clever ruse of using surfboards to smuggle drugs. A little bit of self-snitching happening here. But the movie was not well received, and anyway, as one critic put it, the movie was, quote, a ludicrous farrago of pseudo-mystical acid babbled devoid of serenity. The best thing that can be said about Rainbow Bridge is that after 71 minutes, it finishes, end quote. Geesh, that's a rough review. Over time, the Brotherhood experienced a form of evolution under John Gale's leadership. Gale transformed the group from a religious organization to a straight-up drug smuggling enterprise. Meanwhile, different groups continued to decry the activities of the Brotherhood. President Lyndon Johnson, LBJ, while addressing Congress for the last time in 1968, denounced the sale of drugs, expressing that the time had come to stop the sale of slavery to the young, referring to LSD and other illicit drugs. Even Owsley Stanley, the man who made LSD in tablet form, and Richard Alpert, Timothy Leary's former co-researcher, had their own skepticism towards the group. Stanley described the group as loose cannons on a ship of fools, and Albert, who had renamed himself Ram Dass, which translates to, quote, servant to God, referred to the Brotherhood as a rebellious group, wanting to use psychedelics to challenge the government. In contrast, Leary considered himself a messiah and was even quoted as describing himself as the wisest man of the 20th century. He'd become a divisive figure within the Brotherhood itself, partly because he didn't buy into the vision of Utopia Island rich in surf. But in the end, the Brotherhood fell to the sword of Nixon's war on drugs, as well as the rise of another narcotic, cocaine. More young people were turning to cocaine as the recreational drug of choice. As one of the members of the Brotherhood put it, cocaine destroyed the Brotherhood scene. As members themselves started doing cocaine, amphetamines, and opium, the spirituality that was core to the movement from the beginning started to fizzle out. People became selfish and paranoid, and what was once a family became anything but. On the 5th of August, 1972, officials from the state and federal government raided a number of Brotherhood properties in different states across the country. In the heat of the raid, many of the core members managed to escape and stay hidden for many years. However, many members of the organization got arrested and convicted on numerous drug-related charges. Through all this, Gale continued to smuggle drugs in Laguna Beach until 1981, when he got busted with more than $7 million worth of cocaine. However, before he got convicted, he was involved in an auto crash where he got decapitated. But really, the story of the Brotherhood starts with a story of, religious, spiritual, exploration, via psychedelics, LSD, psilocybin, right? And then it, morphs into kind of this weird kind of thing where it's really more so a profit-driven drug enterprise. Anyways, this is the Trap Tree series. This is the Brotherhood of Eternal Love.